Welcome to this short talk. My name is Håvard Haugstvedt, and I'm a PhD fellow at the University of Stavanger, the Department of Social Studies. I'm also a guest researcher at CREX, Center for Research on Extremism at the University of Oslo. I will briefly present the findings from a study I did with a colleague, Associate Professor Martin Schøen from Western Norway University of Applied Sciences. This study is about youth who express support for violence and which services, public sector services, civil society organizations, which services they might be willing to engage with if they need help. So as most of you know, to deal with issues of or concern for radicalization and violent extremism, the municipalities and cities in the Nordic countries have developed a multi-agency prevention work. And this typically involves teachers, social workers, healthcare workers, and police officers. They often make up the core of these these multi-agency prevention strategies. But also, they might include adults or employees at religious communities. They might be volunteer organizations or activity centers and stuff like that. So what me and my colleague Martin was curious about was which of these services has the potential to engage with youth and young adults who express support for violence, to make some kind of political or ideological or religious change. So we asked the following question. Which civil society and public sector institutions are youth in Oslo who express support for violence willing to engage with? And to answer that question, we used the best data available, at least for us, which is the large-scale survey Ung i Oslo, which was conducted in 2015. And it's fairly old, at least it's 6 years old, but that large-scale survey had questions about support for violence, which makes it quite kind of unique. And it was asked to the students in upper secondary school, and 7,800 students, pupils, answered the questions about support for violence as well, which is very interesting. So we found that most youth are not willing to support violence at all, not surprisingly. And 76% dismissed that totally. But some were, to a various degree, willing to support violence. And we pooled these together, those who were to some degree, to a large degree, or to a very large degree willing to support violence. And we pooled them into one big group, and we compared them to those who were not willing to support violence or to only a small degree willing to support violence. And we wanted to see if there was any difference in which services and institutions they might be willing to engage with. And it was. We found that, first of all, that youth who are willing to support violence, they are more open to engage with various public sector services and civil society institutions than those who do not express support for violence. So that is at least very positive, I would say. But even more interesting is that the strongest association we found between youth who support violence was to an adult at a religious community, or like a religious leader in a mosque or a church or something like that. And we found that very interesting. And it could mean quite a lot of things, but most importantly, I think it means that religious leaders, people in these faith-based communities, they should be more involved in the selective and indicated prevention work than they are today. Because they might have a better position to work from than teachers and social workers and police officers. And that makes them a very valuable partner to cooperate with and to plan with. But multi-agency prevention work is not easy. It doesn't necessarily flow smoothly. We've seen this just by from our experience with trying to pair teachers, healthcare workers, social workers with police officers. We don't have necessarily the same kind of professional perspectives and are not governed by the same logics, not necessarily at least. So it doesn't necessarily flow good at all. So bringing kind of a different actor into the playing field as well might create at least some hurdles. But I think it's very quite possible to jump across those hurdles. And I think that the most important thing that you can do is to practice and have training courses where employees and adults at these religious or faith-based communities interact with employees from government services and authorities as well, to kind of get to know each other on a personal basis, to build a better understanding of the tasks and the responsibilities of each other, and to over time develop a working relationship that might be fruitful for all included parties. So the takeaway point is that I think that practitioners and policymakers at the local level should try to engage more deeply with the religious actors in their communities, and try to create working relationships with them, which could help create better tailored prevention services, which might work more efficiently than the ones they're using right now. Thank you.